Genealogy chart stretches across an entire wall in the basement archive of the Tennessee State Library, a twisted maze of lines and connections that defies comprehension. At first glance, it appears to be a mistake. Surely no family tree could loop back on itself this many times, with the same names appearing in multiple generations, sometimes as both parent and grandparent to the same child. But this isn't an error. This is the Coulter family tree, the most genetically tangled bloodline ever officially documented in American history. At the center of this genealogical nightmare sits one name, Ezekiel Coulter, born in 1889 in the remote hills of eastern Tennessee. For over 40 years, Ezekiel systematically fathered children with his own daughters, creating a family structure so twisted that modern geneticists still struggle to map the relationships. When authorities finally discovered what had been happening in the isolated Coulter compound in 1952, they found a family where children were simultaneously siblings, cousins, aunts, and uncles to each other, a genetic puzzle that violated every natural law of human reproduction. The discovery came by accident. A state health inspector, investigating reports of a tuberculosis outbreak in the region, stumbled upon a community that had been living by its own rules for over 6 decades. What he found was a patriarch who had created his own breeding program, using his daughters as involuntary participants, producing over 30 children across 3 generations, all carrying the devastating genetic consequences of systematic father-daughter incest. Hello everyone, before we start, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with where you're from and what time you're watching. That way YouTube will keep showing you stories just like this one. This is the story of the Coulter family compound, where one man's twisted vision of genetic purity created the most disturbing family tree in recorded American history. Ezekiel Coulter arrived in the Cumberland Gap region of Tennessee in 1910, a 21-year-old drifter with no documented past and a mysterious understanding of livestock breeding that would later take on a much darker meaning. He purchased 200 acres of isolated mountain land with cash, unusual for a young man with no apparent family or business connections. Local records suggest he may have been fleeing something in his past, as he used multiple surnames during his first years in the area before settling on Coulter. The land Ezekiel chose was strategically isolated, accessible only by a single dirt road that wound through dense forest and across 2 creek beds that became impassable during winter months. He built his first cabin in a natural valley surrounded by steep ridges, creating what would become a fortress of secrecy that kept the outside world away for decades. Neighbors were few and distant, separated by miles of rough terrain and mountain wilderness. Ezekiel's first wife, Mary Catherine, was barely 18 when he married her in 1912. She came from a struggling local family who saw the marriage as an economic necessity,